underground action here on our social media platforms. Opening round matchup of Area 2, we have the young upstart one, Zack Rayne, and the Gavel, David Lawless. Because I don't want to talk to the Gavel, David Lawless right now, I'm going to go to Zack Rayne.
I like this guy already.
Zack Rayne, you've had a lot of potential coming into Fight Underground. Explain to us, our fans here on social media, just who Zack Rayne is and why they should be excited that you're here in Fight Underground.
So I think that something important about this company is the varied roster. So we make the joke that it's like a fighting game. There's a million different types of strategies. There's a million fighting styles. Even within just wrestling, there's different styles. The one thing that I haven't seen yet is what Bubba saw and filled the gap in his team. He wanted somebody with a strong style background. I don't come in with strategy. It's not about outthinking my opponent. I want to see how hard they can hit me and how hard I can keep hitting them while they do it. That's it. Whoever weathers the storm takes the W. That's what I do.
Certainly resiliency and durability may be your game plan coming into here, but one man that is very cerebral in his approach, Lawless, it's the pandemic. The whole world is melting around us. The one positive I thought I had is I wouldn't have to see the Gavel David Lawless. Somehow, like a leech, like a fungus, you're here in Fight Underground. So tell us, why are you here and what do you plan to do?
Well, first of all, Tucker LaMotta, I can't believe you would make such blasphemous comments about me in the first interview, but I want to respond to what the White Rabbit, Zack Rayne, said. He doesn't actually game plan or think like most stupid Americans. He just hits people as hard as he can.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm speaking. Anyway, the point is that this world is all about thinking. The smartest people are always the ones that get ahead. See, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, you don't see them with six packs. You don't see them clubbing each other over the head. And the reason is because they're the smartest human beings. They know how to get ahead in the system. So the Gavel David Lawless, well, I need no introduction, but I am the greatest attorney. I am the greatest professional wrestler in the world. And what you need to understand about our society, Jim, is that nothing gets accomplished without the work of an attorney. We are talking about the pinnacle of education and career. So when I come into Fight Underground, see, Mr. Rayne thinks this is a game. No, this isn't a game to me. See, this is how I approach everything in life. So he might have a strategy of seeing who's going to hit him the hardest and whether he can stand back up. But I already know what his weaknesses are, and I already know how I'm going to suss them out in this match.
Are you trying to put me to sleep? Because this is what I talked about when we signed up for this. It's a bunch of dudes that are talking in a company that's called Fight. Why are there so many words being used? Are you a wrestler, or are you a motivational speaker? What's the point you're trying to get across to me right now? I'm here to fists up, throw down. That's the whole deal, isn't it?
Well, let me respond to your question, dude. Let me talk to you, man. See, maybe in your little trailer trash world, okay, you're looking to go out there and get your rocks off by punching someone in the face. But in the real world here, where we compete for money and for power, see, real men know how to use this. And maybe we use some of this a little bit, but that's not the first result. So Zack Rayne, you and all the other Proud Boys that are in Fight Underground, you can stand back and stand by as I kick your ass in that ring, because the White Rabbit is supposed to signify a new beginning. But unfortunately for you, Zack Rayne, my beginning spells your end here in Fight Underground. Dude.
Hey, Lawless, are you done? You're putting me to sleep. You're verbal Benadryl, you know that? I can't stand you, and neither can this guy. So, Zack Rayne, I'm going to give you the final words here before your matchup with the Gavel David Lawless. Final comments going into this opening round matchup for Area 2.
You want a closing statement? Is this more in your wheelhouse? How about I have 47 wins out of my last 50 matches. I've wrestled more in quarantine than some guys have wrestled in their career. I don't stop. I move forward. I get back up. If you think that that's something to dance around and it's all going to be fun and games, you think this is a game? You think I think this is a game? This has been everything for me since I was 16 years old. I was trained by Nicholas Thorne, and then I went back and learned MMA from the wild man Robbie Page. This is what we do. This is a lineage. And when you talk trash on me, you're taking a dump on the entire strong style community. So I hope that it's as easy as you think. And I really hope you're as tough as you say you are, because I am looking forward to punching you in the mouth.
And Gavel, I'd like to give you a last word, but I'm not going to because we're out of time. So, folks, be back here on Facebook.
The community.
Check out Zack Rayne knocking out Gavel David Wallace. See you next time.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Peanut for the taste of the fly.
Hey guys, it is the Indy Mayhem Show. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios here in Pittsburgh, PA, and we are back with the Indy Mayhem Show. It's been a little while since we've done this. We've been kind of doing special shows and hangouts and things like that, and not so much for a regular interview pretty much since March, when everything went sideways with COVID and all the wrestling shows going away and half coming back, and we're not really sure what to promote these days because we weren't sure what was going to happen. But we are back with it. There's somebody that's been two individuals that have been making an impression before all the shutdown, and even now currently, especially currently with one of our friends' projects on IndyWrestling.us, our friends at Fight Underground, making a lot of impressions over there. But first, please go check out everything at IndyWrestling.us and WrestlingMayhemShow.com. WrestlingMayhemShow.com, you can check out all the other pro wrestling podcasts that we do, including our live show on Tuesday night with Wrestling Mayhem Show, the Monday Night Warriors show, right after Raw goes off the air, and of course, the IndyWrestling.us, where we have so much content going on right now, including some new content finally coming to IndyWrestling.network. Look for that. There's a lot of exciting stuff that's going to be announced in the next few weeks for IndyWrestling.network, including just signed on the dial line for a new wrestling promotion being a part of that network. So please go check that out. You guys have been so great during this crazy off time in supporting those projects. So with me again, a group that has impressed me for I first experienced back at the old Uprise shows with Rise Wrestling. Warhorse is with us. That's Crosshairs Kelly and Pat the Bruiser. How you doing, guys?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. How are you, Sword?
Now I got to point out, if you're not visually with us, and listen on the audio podcast version, because every time that we've done something with Warhorse, it seems like they're coming to us live from their car when we do these Fight Underground live streams. And you're in separate cars this time, at least.
Yeah, we are in separate vehicles this time. We are coming down to Newark, Ohio, to the Ohio Pro Wrestling Academy for Open Gym. So that's where we trained at, and that's where we still come to, work on stuff and attempt to get better. So
That's awesome. So
that's where we're at right now.
one of our icebreaker questions, like a little get to know you before we get into what Warhorse is about. So tell me, what is your earliest memory of pro wrestling for each of you?
Bruiser?
In all honesty, it was, I'd say, more likely like the Stone Cold Rock Attitude Era type of wrestling. Just the intensity, the rivalry, just all of it just drew me in. So Rock and Stone Cold was probably some of the earliest memories of wrestling that I can remember that really drew me into wrestling.
Excellent. Kelly?
Yeah, for me, definitely the Undertaker. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, that first Hell in a Cell, debut of Kane. That was like the thing that caught my attention. Something about, just being locked in a cage and then the blood and then just this huge behemoth of a man coming out, ripping the door off the cage. And that kind of is what caught my attention and drew me in. And then over time, I just developed this sick fascination with it. So definitely Attitude Era, baby. But I've grown to love more than just the Attitude Era. Thank God.
So for both of you, was it a at what point did you think you wanted to get into the ring? Was it from seeing it and just like I want to be a part of this initially, or did that come over time for you guys?
For me,
Oh,
it was a
no,
okay. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, Crosshair.
For me, it was definitely just because initially, like, I wasn't really into wrestling, but a bunch of my friends were, and then when I started watching it and started getting into it more and like realizing what it was about, that's when I was like, I really want to do this. So when I found out like there is a path or an opportunity to do so, I was like, that was my focus, and that had been my focus for I would say at least 10 years
Mm-hmm.
before I could actually follow the path and attempt to get to where I want to be. You know.
Excellent. Well, you, Pat.
For me, it's kind of different. It's not the typical. I've always wanted to be a wrestler. One of my buddies went to the tryout, and I went to try to follow what the see what it was about. And then the moment I got into the ring and started running the ropes and doing the things, and I got hooked. Instantly got hooked, and it's been it's like I got hooked and been addicted ever since.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So how did you guys did you guys train together or find yourselves kind of later on to become a tag team?
A combination of two. So we actually we trained together at OPWA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like it was weird because like I messaged James Avery, the head trainer, and I was like, hey, like I'm not in super great shape, like, but I really want to do this. And he was like, well, I'm fat, so you can come on down and give it a try. And I was like, okay, whatever. But it was just like because it was me, Pat, his brother, and another wrestler called Asylum, and like we were just like all big dudes. Like there's just a bunch of big dudes in one class, and so it kind of worked out.
So that
Yeah.
that's unusual because it feels like there's not a lot of like large capable guys in indie wrestling. Like you feel like it's I don't want to say mostly cruiserweights to a point, but it's always striking to me when I'm 6'4" and I walk into a room with the roster and I see that I'm taller than everybody. That seems to happen
Right.
less and less these days when we have guys like you, guys like the main event, PB Smooth on the rosters. Like it's like the rosters are growing physically these days.
Dude, and I'm a big fan of it too because like I would either personally I prefer to work like the littler guys because they can do like the flips and the cool stuff. But like there's nothing better than getting two big guys in there that know what they're doing
Mm-hmm.
and like don't mind the physicality of just being two big dudes about to fight each other basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
So was did
like I refuse to fight Pat because he's overly aggressive.
so tell me a little bit about how you guys kind of clicked as a tag team. You're already just in a group of big guys. It wasn't just hey, you're the two big guys, throw you together, right?
No, not at all. Actually, he was tagging with his brother, James the Baker Hickey, for I want to say what about a year. You guys were tagging or so. Um, I was kind of initially on my own, and then I started tagging with Asylum for a little bit, but that was short lived.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was back to me being on my own again. He and Baker were tearing it up tag team wise in a sense. Um, I believe Baker took a break, and that kind of left him without a partner, so he was kind of doing a singles thing. And then we tagged one time. It was a random show where I just needed somebody to tag with, and we tagged one time, and it was just like it was very easy to work with him,
Mm-hmm.
and like we just had this natural chemistry just from training, I'm assuming, and then just like us being in the ring, and we also have like the similar mentality because like we want to work big, but at the same time we don't want to be slow and boring or uncoordinated.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a
Hmm.
there's a certain mentality and a certain style of match that we want to put out, and that doesn't we don't want it to be atypical. So like we're getting to the point now where like we can just look at each other and know what we want to do, or he'll may move a certain way, and I'm like, okay, this is what I should do here. And like so, there's just this weird natural chemistry with us, and then on top of us just being together all the time, it just kind of
All the
worked out.
time.
So it was a weird timing thing. And because initially when we were getting ready to tag, we were supposed to be in a tournament at OCW for their tag titles, and I actually tore my ACL. So that kind of put me on the shelf for I think it was about 6 months. which gave him time to like travel with like Bruce Gray and Ron Mathis and work at Rockstar and just get better. Like he got so good so quick in a
Hmm.
sense. And so when I came back, he kind of helped me because I was a big fan of not working like a big man. So like there, yeah, there's a lot of give and take in our tag team. Like we learn from each other and we don't mind criticizing each other and being real. So I think that's another thing. It's like we will argue and then I'll sit there and pout because
Yeah, baby.
I don't know. That's just kind of how we function. So we flow well. Very well.
That's good. Tell me a little bit about it. So you're what does the scene look like for training, getting out there? You mentioned Bruce Gray and Ron Mathis. Definitely, guys we've seen down here in Pittsburgh. I've seen them up in promotions in Cleveland that we're associated with. How are they as an influence for you guys and things like Rockstar and OCW?
Huge. Ron Mathis and Bruce Gray helped me out a lot when I first started because the best way to learn in this business when you get out of training is you gotta get on the road, you gotta hit shows, and it's always good to have people like that to pick their brains, learn from, and just it just gets you better.
Mhm.
Just gets you better.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Almost-
both of them have been around forever. Bruce actually trained at OPWA when he started wrestling. But he was a referee before that, and he was an internationally traveled referee. So when you have two guys that have traveled and have worked and like know and love and breathe the business, like it's amazing. Like the random stuff they know. Like, we were listening to a podcast last week with the Arn Anderson and Tully, and like before everything was said, Bruce Gray was just like going into details about everything, and so just being able to absorb the things that they have, and I think they're two highly underrated individuals. But like they've been tagging now lately as DD Trash, and being able to work with them in the ring, and then pick their brains outside the ring, and just get advice from them. It's
Mhm.
just like there's nothing better than that, and like I feel like we get the long end of the stick a lot of the times when it comes to like the vets and them giving us advice because we try not to cause too much drama in the back and we're there to have fun a lot of the time. So when people give us advice, like we listen to it, we process it, and then we try to adapt to it. So
Mhm.
I think the biggest thing is just like getting that advice, hitting the road with these vets, and then applying it is what makes you better.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about, obviously, hitting the road has been a big part of things, but everybody, of course, all that kind of stopped short here in March with the COVID quarantine lockdown issues. How did you guys kind of find adjusting to that? Obviously, some things are starting up. You guys are obviously, still getting out there, getting the training and everything now. But how did that kind of come back, and how did you kind of, I don't know, for better lack of better word, cope with that kind of situation?
It was initially for me heartbreaking because um right around the time right before it hit, we had a full calendar
Hmm.
almost. Like we were basically pretty much booked up all the way through December with multiple debuts, and like probably about 90% of that just got scrapped.
Yeah.
So that was initially, it was just like, man, that's rough. Like, what are we gonna do? Me personally, I just kind of focused on like real life stuff and started working like a lot of overtime and just trying to get that done. And then eventually I was like, you know what? Like just seeing everybody's post online and like how everybody was getting better and like at least like being in the gym and then watching tapes and still cutting promos. So things like that kind of inspired me and kind of got me thinking. And then plus our trainers were like, this is a reset button. This puts everybody on an even playing field. So take this time to better yourself. So I actually went out and got a personal trainer. Bruiser's been working on his diet. So we're just like trying to do everything around not actually necessarily being able to wrestle constantly, focusing a little bit more on social media, getting new gear, just trying to, make connections and networks for when things do reopen because a lot of promotions now aren't running. So, in our mind, this gives us an opportunity to send some stuff out
Hmm.
and, try to get somebody's eye just in case when they do start running again, they know who we are.
Excellent. So one of those things that has kind of come out, of course, is we've seen you as part of Fight Underground, kind of a new promotion that's been doing something a little bit different. And full disclaimer, I'm shooting on that. It's part of a project that I'm involved with as well, but with IndyWrestling.us. But it was kind of a different idea, and I don't know how many of these promotions that you're working for now are this kind of closed set, just the other wrestlers are watching, the guys and girls on the roster. Has that how have you adapted to even that kind of different environment to perform in?
At least for me, it hasn't been too much of a thing because I know like for us the way we train, a lot of times we'll do practice matches during our training session.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have our other classmates or people that are starting out. They'll be there to see us work, and then our trainers are there, of course. They have zero filter, and so they're just like on us constantly about the little things and getting better at the little things to make the bigger things better. So while initially it is different, not having a crowd, that reaction and that energy from them, you have the reaction and the energy from the other workers, which I think is really awesome though too, because you get the opportunity to have the other guys see you work like right in the action. Because normally either people are working on their matches, getting prepared for their stuff, so they don't necessarily have the time to focus on anybody else. But the way with this is set up, you can actually literally see what everybody's doing. You can see what your competition, brings to the table, and gives you something else to focus on. And I think that's just a different aspect, and I think it's really cool the way that it works too. Just that raw, natural fight setting. I think it's really sweet.
It's a unique thing to adjust to. Because like I said, like he was saying, you're used to the crowd and you're used to everything. But at the end of the day, for me, it's still wrestling. It's still physical. It's still hitting.
Mm-hmm.
You're still battling. You're still scratching. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much wrestling at its purest form.
One of the so
It really is.
I gotta say I've been personally entertained by you guys since you first hit the scene here under a different name that somebody else is using these days. I don't know if you want to speak to that. Branding, I guess, has been an issue for you guys. Although Warhorse, I think, has been a great pivot for you as well.
So okay, so we realized that the name thing was going to be an issue, especially when that
Hey,
person
hey
won
we're
a
talking.
specific
We,
championship.
we can say, right? It's Warhorse was originally your
Yeah,
name.
it's
Yeah.
it's Jake right now. So yeah, so he when he won the championship, I know that was the start of some of our vets going, hey, you might want to consider your name change.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, oh, we're gonna write it out and see how this plays out. And then once he start coming more over to the East Coast, we were like, all right, this is getting kind of sketchy. So initially, it was a lot of it. It was mainly Ron and Bruce. Initially, we were like, hey, you might want to start working on a name change. And then we were at a Rockstar one time, and we were just getting ready for a match. And Fulton came up to us and was like, hey, I like you guys. I just want to give you a heads up. You know, Parnell's picking up steam. You might want to consider it. We had another buddy that ran into him on another show, and they talked about it. So we were sitting around trying to think about what we wanted to be called. And so eventually a promotion gave us the name War Pigs. And we're like,
Mm.
we don't want to be called pigs.
Yeah.
Mm.
We were not a fan of that. We were actually super pissy about it. So we're like, you know what? Screw that. We're hosses. We're big boys. We know how to move. We know how to work, but we're still bringing that same level of intensity. So we just like Warhouse it is. And, I feel like that describes us better. I get a dig out of the name. We still got to keep the WH, which was already on our gear and on our shirt. So it worked out really well. And I know a lot of people that we run into are big fans of our name too, because it's something different. It's
Mm.
not the same thing. And even when we changed our name, somebody had mentioned something on Instagram, and Jake actually commented on it. And he was happy with the name change. And plus, for me, he kind of lives the whole war horse thing real hard. So like he is Warhorse. He has defined it via his promos and then the way he carries himself in the ring. So like no love lost, no hate. mad respect for him too because he's putting in the work and getting out there. Um, it's just something that worked out for us, luckily. I mean,
Awesome. You guys have been kind of attributed to, I love listening to Paul and Jim on the Fight Underground in the Rise commentary because they'll throw back like what teams you remind them of. I think I hear a lot of Legion of Doom Road Warriors in there, of course. I always get a kick out of because your communication, whether it's doing your promos or hear you kind of growl commands at each other in the ring has been kind of interesting. I just get a kick out of that every time I hear you guys in there.
it and that was just like it was a natural thing because I used to, so there was a wrestler called named Dustin Reyes. He just recently stepped away from the business, but I always loved it because like when he would cut his promos or when he would talk to people, we would always call it his Batman voice because he was just like, "Get your ass over here," or something like that, or "Get
Yeah.
your ass up," and so like little things like that. And even with like the Legion of Doom, like or the Road Warriors and stuff like that, they would do that, and they would be like, "Man, that's cool," and it's very intense, and
Mhm.
it gets a reaction from people when you do stuff like that. So it just became a thing where, because like in tag team wrestling, you can talk to your partner; he's literally right there. So it's like, why wouldn't I talk to him? But you can't just like talk to him like this because that just seems silly.
Yeah.
But if I like yell at Pat with an intensity to do something, or he yells at me with an intensity to do something, that changes the game because it's a sense of urgency. There's a sense of aggression to it. So that's kind of how we literally do stuff. Like we'll be in separate parts of a locker room or building, and you'll hear a crosshairs or you'll hear a bruiser, and then it'll be vice versa to like just get each other's attention. So it's just something that just kind of happened organically and naturally, and it's stuck.
Obviously, Pat is the most talkative one in promos, as you can tell.
So it's funny because I try to get him to talk more, but then like a lot of times people are like, he needs to say less. He's big. He's menacing. Like
Yeah.
just let him sit there and just breathe heavily. And I'm like, but he can't talk though. Like he
Yeah.
can speak and he can cut a mean promo when he wants to. It's just like I have this, as you can tell, and just this. I can run my mouth all the time. I
Mhm.
talk trash all the time. I talk shit to him all the time. It pisses him off more than anything, I'm
All
sure.
the
But
time.
but he does the same thing, and so it's funny because like as much as like I say I talk in promos, like his physicality just meets like the trash talk that I bring. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty either. So I feel like it's fairly balanced ish. But we're working on getting him speaking more, at
Okay.
least yelling at people,
Okay.
threatening them.
Okay. So I'm waiting for that Pat the Bruiser, speech next time we see each other again, right?
It'll be a full soliloquy, and it'll be
Yeah.
excellent.
Excellent. So I don't want to spend too much. Obviously, you guys are in the parking lot getting ready to go train and get better at kicking ass over there.
About
So
6 o'clock, yeah. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
is it
So
6?
whatever time it is, whenever people are seeing this. But anyways, so let's go and close this out. First of all, question I like to throw out to you guys. What is the best and worst thing about independent wrestling?
um,
I'd say
I
the
would
best
say,
Go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead. I'm
the
pondering.
best thing that I think that my independent wrestling is it's tied between two things: the brotherhood and traveling. You get to travel all over. I have been places that I know I never would have been if it wasn't for independent wrestling. I've wrestled in I've wrestled in some towns that so small not even on a map, and I wrestled in some major cities that I thought I'd never see. And it's just it's crazy, and then the friendship that you gain
Mhm.
throughout these travels, and the people you meet on these in these little towns that see independent wrestling as like their WWE, and it's just the greatest feeling ever. And that's probably the best thing about independent wrestling, in all honesty.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely it's the excitement. There's nothing more exciting than like getting in front of that live crowd and just feeling that energy, and from the way that they react to what you do, being able to control a crowd
Mhm.
is just something special. Being able to have them cheer or boo you is just, it's an awesome feeling that I don't think there, it's literally an addiction. That's, so it's like give and take. Like for everything that's great with wrestling, like, you do end up, you miss out on things because you're trying to grind, you're trying to hustle, and you want to be better. So you have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and you have to travel, you have to go to shows, you have to miss, family events. But it's worth it in my mind though too, because like eventually, hopefully, it's going to pay off. It will pay off when you put in the work, and you know, just being in that ring. There's nothing like it. And then there will never be anything like it.
It's great. So I want to throw a little challenge question out here, since we talked about how Pat is going to drop us a monologue next time we see him for Fight Underground.
Woo-woo.
Pat, can you give any words of wisdom for everybody out there dealing with their lockdowns and trying to get back to normalcy these days? Just something to get people motivated.
Just ride the wave. Just ride the wave, man. Like it's a crazy thing happening right now, but it's all you gotta do is keep riding the wave, listen to what they're telling you to do, and it'll all pass eventually. Eventually, the grass is always greener on the other side.
There you go. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to see you guys shoot your matches and
Thanks, Sorg.
have a conversation with you guys. Once again, please let everybody know where they can find you on social media and follow what's going on.
So they can find us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, at Warhorse MDK, for all of those. And then we just started a Pro Wrestling Tees, so you can just search us on Pro Wrestling Tees / Warhorse.
There you go. Thank you guys so much. And of course, check them out. Check them out in action over at IndyWrestling.us, IndyWrestling.network, the Fight Underground, and all the places that we were talking about here today. And until next time, please support indie wrestling. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.
The world of pro wrestling, it's bigger than ever. So how can you possibly keep up with everything that's happening? Just pro wrestling news. Don't fear falling behind. Give us just 5 minutes every morning and we'll catch you up on the biggest news in the world of pro wrestling. No filler, no rumors, no spoilers, no pop-ups. Just pro wrestling news. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app or tell your smart speaker to play the Just Pro Wrestling News podcast. Find out more. Go to justprowrestlingnews.com.
Gentlemen of the center, got a nice clean pad match, no low blows, no fish hooking, no hair pulling, no ear pulling. Legal tags will be enforced. This up, hurry up. And we're going to jumpstart this one, Paul. We have Tad Jarvis.
Yeah, well, if you've noticed, I don't think it had much effect on Dennis Gregory and Hentai because they're just taking their time as, well, Tad Jarvis a little too much into that social media these days.
Yeah, Tim Titan is about to get his block rearranged because they are in there with two bona fide Pittsburgh legends in Super Hentai and Dennis Gregory.
That's
the
right.
phrase, they have done it all, may be overused in professional wrestling, but it's no exaggeration when I tell you that Dennis Gregory, a 25-year pro, and Super Hentai, a 22-year pro, have quite literally done it all in Pittsburgh professional wrestling.
Without a doubt, you have Dennis Gregory, who's been in the military. He serves our country overseas. You have Super Hentai, who has traveled to Japan. These guys are national and international workers. Kid, just worry about the match, kid. Just worry about the match.
Keep your eyes on me, son!
Dennis Gregory, a true cornerstone of Pittsburgh professional wrestling. And to your point, Paul, Super Hentai trained in Hayabusa, Japan. Reverse here from Gregory, back elbow. And notice Gregory knew exactly what to do and when to do it. He knew what counter to go to and knew exactly when to execute it.
This man walks around with an attitude all the time. He's an angry man, but I'll tell you what, he knows exactly what he's doing inside that squared circle.
Yeah, Tad Jarvis may fancy himself a social media icon. Dennis Gregory was winning championships before social media existed.
Most of us were.
But a rake of the eyes is going to slow Hentai down. And one thing we know about Tad Jarvis, he's not afraid to take a shortcut. Hentai has him up. Davey boy power slam.
Timothy Titan just coming in at the last minute. He may regret that.
See you later, Tim Titan. He's out of here. Gregory is not playing games.
Look at the power in Super Hentai. This young man, a big powerhouse.
Come up there, Super.
Gregory driving Jarvis down to the canvas. Hentai is perched. The double knees down and forget about it. Game over.
Hentai and Dennis Gregory making absolute short work out of Tad Jarvis and Timothy Titan here tonight. And I'll tell you what, I expected it to happen that way.
Tad Jarvis, Timothy Titan. It seems as though you guys overlooked the two veterans in Dennis Gregory and Super Hentai. How do you rebound after this loss here today? Says protest.
Yeah, we're protesting the loss. We didn't lose. It was clear. It was a disqualification. They disqualified themselves. We won.
They hit the pinfall.
Two people in the ring for longer than 5 seconds. We have to protest that. This loss is not only Tim probable, it's completely Tim possible, and I will not stand for this.
There was a 3 count.
Don't be a Timbecile, Nick. There was more than 2 people in the ring for 5 seconds. It is a clear disqualification. You're looking at your winners.
Why are you being a tad hole right now? You're just being a straight out tad hole.
What a Timbecile. This interview's over.
Super Hentai, Dennis Gregory, you guys just had a dominant performance here in Fight Underground, scoring your first win here in the Duos division. How's it feel to win your first match here in Fight Underground?
The Sons of Liberty have arrived in Fight Underground. We are here to pledge our allegiance to Team Radford. You want to be entertained? Google Dennis Gregory. You want to be excited? Google Hentai. You want to be overwhelmed? Get in the ring with the Sons of Liberty.
Sons of Liberty, thank you so much for your time. And again, congratulations. We're all excited to see what you guys do here next at Fight Underground.
Let's go, Sue.
Well, hello, friends. I'm your pal in the mainstream media.
And I'm the Riz.
And, you know, Riz, it takes years of strenuous, dedicated training before you're worthy to step inside a professional wrestling ring. But it takes even more time to develop complex, highly astute opinions about professional wrestling. Am I right?
That is correct.
Yes.
And you know where we can find that?
Yes.
On the Wrestling Mayhem.
That's right.
Gentlemen to the center. Excuse me. George, is it? How are you doing? Come here. Hi. Look, as the only practicing lawyer here, I should know what the rules are, so come on, tell me them ahead of time.
Shut up.
I need you in here. George?
Every time.
Okay. No objections. No eye gouges. No ear pulling. No hair pulling.
No neck breakers.
Okay, I guess that's all right. Just off and throw down. Oh, wait, you gotta tell him the rules too. This is why I asked for it ahead of time. Hold on, I'll tell you. No hair pulling, which isn't gonna matter for you.
Fine, thanks.
No eye gouges. No fish hooks, and no low blows.
Thank you.
Did you get that, moron?
Yes, thanks.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
good.
All right, well, David Lawless handing down the instructions.
Fight Underground back here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere. You can find us on social media. We're here. The young upstart Zack Rayne taking on established pro, the Gavel, David Lawless. And Paul, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that the one positive out of this entire year is I thought I could avoid David Lawless, but somehow this leech, this fungus, this disease of the gavel is here in the Fight Underground.
Well, and it's kind of crazy, you know, picked and drafted on our Fight Council draft by Brandon Kay. I mean, those two guys have history. David Lawless, who's Brandon Kay's student, literally tried to end Brandon Kay's career, and then he goes and picks him for his team.
Yeah, absolutely. They went through wars in Brandon Kay's Rise Pro Wrestling. But I
think Lawless objecting vehemently here.
Right there.
I can do it if
you see this?
Claiming a hair pull.
I wonder if Lawless paid for that haircut, Paul.
Well, if they say, don't fall asleep in the chair after you insult the barber.
But to your point, I believe the reason that Brandon drafted the gavel, despite their tumultuous history, is because as much as it pains me to say it, I get a pain right in the middle of my chest, right in the sternum. David Lawless is a top-tier pro. Absolutely no doubt about it.
Oh, no doubt there. And, you know, that pain could be from the spaghetti he ate last night, too. You never know.
And you can see how Lawless closes the distance and tries to take over, but Zack Rayne is an aggressive young athlete. Zack Rayne, still relatively young in his career, is just looking for an opportunity to truly make a name for himself.
Just laying those forearms into the chest area of David Lawless is Zack Rayne. That big crescent-style kick right to the chest again.
Yeah, Rayne has a lot of speed in his game. His repertoire is very dynamic. Spinal tap.
Oh, wow. David Lawless might want to call for a recess here.
And seeing pain etched on the face of the gavel makes me smile. Finds 2.5 that time.
Yeah, David Lawless, like we said, he is one hell of an athlete, one hell of a competitor. You're going to have to do a lot more despite everything Zack Rayne has done so far if you want to beat David Lawless.
Well, the true problem with David Lawless is not only is he physically talented, but he also has that mental acumen. He is a practicing lawyer. The man did pass the bar exam.
He passed the bar, and I can't pass a bar, literally.
Lawless out here in front of us. Avoids the contact. And that's what I'm
Just
telling
like
you.
that.
The gavel is very cerebral inside those ring ropes.
He suckered Zack
case,
Rayne in.
outside of those ring ropes.
He suckered him in, that's for sure.
Using the ring as a weapon, as an impromptu tag team partner, did the gavel that time.
Yeah, with that big hangman's maneuver, now Zack Rayne, he's hurting severely here. Look out. Big belly to back suplex by Lawless.
Lateral press, hooks the leg. And you have to admire the fight of Zack Rayne because he has taken several maneuvers in a row, and you heard that shot.
Yeah, very vocal here at ringside. We've got members of Team Bubba, Bad Bubba Brewer himself, our Fight Council member, and the Rev Ron Hunt trying to cheer on Zack Rayne.
Look out, gavel hooks him up.
Beautifully executed suplex
And
by
that's
the
what I'm
gavel.
telling you, he is so crisp inside those ring ropes.
Oh, hey, I'm not going to take anything away from his wrestling ability just because the guy's a jerk.
Soccer kick to the chest. Could be all. Flash pin here, almost. Man, that was close.
I mean, you know, I get hives when I'm around lawyers because I've built a few houses for them over the years with my fees.
Gavel, he's trying to shake some feeling back into that arm. Could be a result of that kick to the spine earlier.
Could very well. He may have a stinger of some sort after that, without laying that clothesline in.
Hooks that leg. And notice how the gavel, despite how arrogant and cocky he is, he will never make an elementary mistake like not hooking the leg.
Oh, no, he hooks the leg every single time. There's no two ways about that.
He's got a Muay Thai clinch here. Rayne knows where he's at. He's aware of his surroundings, trying to fight his way out of it.
Hooking him up to that rude awakening.
And this could be it, Paul.
He planted him with that, without a doubt. Big leg, standing leg drop there.
What elevation for extra impact. And David Paul, I'm going to give some credit where it's due. Zack Rayne is not going to go quiet, we hear.
Hey, I tell you what, Bad Bubba Brewer is a well-respected veteran of this business, not just the Pittsburgh area, but the central Pennsylvania area. He knows what he's doing. For him to pick Zack Rayne, you know this guy's a top-notch competitor.
Springboard, flash kick,
right
knocks
on
the
the
gavel inside out.
That big lariat-style clothesline.
Look out. Runs into a back elbow.
Lawless trying to create a much-needed separation there.
Look out here, Paul. Tornado spikes him. Could this be an upset?
It could well. Zack Rayne has had a lot taken out of him as well. As you can see, can he crawl over and make that cover?
Paul, I have to ask you, what would it mean for the career of Zack Rayne, not just here in Fight Underground, but across the board, if he can defeat an established pro like David Wallace?
Oh, that would be a huge notch in his gun belt if he can pull this win off.
You know, Paul, as unfiltered as our surroundings are, you can really see the passion, the dedication to this sport in these surroundings. But you can also see some blatant damn cheating by David Wallace.
Using
breaks
ref
the
as a
eye.
Damn. David Lawless pulling out the win here tonight.
And like the true snake he is, he's going to steal one here.
David Lawless, you got your first win here at Fight Underground. You hit him with the final judgment. What's next for you here at Fight Underground? You're going to move on to the next round here at Area 2.
Area 2, Area 5, Area 51, it doesn't matter. Wherever the gavel shows up, I know the rules, I know how to get it done in the ring, and I know just when the ref's not looking. So everyone at Fight Underground, you may not have seen the gavel David Lawless in a while, but you're certainly going to start seeing a lot more of me here. I'm going to win whatever stupid championship these old-timers have put up for us, and I'm going to prove why Lawless is flawless. You're welcome, morons.
David Lawless, thank you for your time, and congratulations on your first win here at Fight Underground. Zack Rayne, you put in a hard-fought matchup here tonight, and after a blatant pull with the referee and then an eye gouge behind his back, you ended up suffering the final judgment. Where do you go from here in Fight Underground?
So listen, my job was to support Team Bubba. I'm the clinch hitter. I get that. This isn't a good start. But when you get two studs in here, it can go either way. I'm not going to cut corners, and I'm not going to cheat. So, yeah, I'm at a disadvantage. We still got to be ready for that kind of stuff, and clearly I wasn't. God help me, Wallace was the better man tonight. But I'll be watching for it the next time. And I promise you, the next time, these guys are going to have to follow the White Rabbit.
Lawless. We are joined by council members RPW, Sniper, and Stacy Hunter. RPW, do you have the first question?
First off, congratulations. Impressive victory. What kind of strategy did you go into this first contest?
Well, it's the same strategy that I go into every contest, and that is to study my opponent, study the environment, and use it to my advantage. Is there any surprise that the greatest attorney and professional wrestler in the world was able to do just that in his first Fight Underground match? No. So that's what I'll do moving forward, and that's what I'll do for the rest of my career.
Impressive.
Stacy Hunter, do you have a question?
Now, you just said you approach every match the same way. You don't know your opponent in the next match, so how are you going to approach that one?
Doesn't matter. I'm in the courtroom all the time. I don't know what people are going to say. I don't know what stupid questions are going to come out of your mouth next, but I got to answer those. So whoever my opponent is, I'm going to do the same thing I do all the time, and that's be flawless.
Sniper, do you have a question?
Well, being as cocky and arrogant as you are, how do you feel, and do you want to have, who do you want to go face it up against next here at Fight Underground?
That's a good question. I almost could understand it from all the stuttering. Listen, it's not arrogance, okay? I went to school for 21 years to get to the point in my career where I'm the greatest attorney in the world. I ran through competition all up and down the East Coast to become the greatest professional wrestler here. So there's no arrogance. I'm the least arrogant person in this room. The truth is, I don't care who I face. If it's Beastman, if it's John Roden, if it's Mike Law, if it's, I'll take on Warhorse for all that I care. Because the simple fact is, this will never be outdone by anyone in professional wrestling. So thanks for I guess we'll call it a question, but really, it doesn't matter who the competition is. We done?
Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Lawless is flawless.
In the aftermath with Zack Rayne, we are joined by council members Stacy Hunter, Dash Bennett, and Bubba Brewer. Bubba, do you have the first question?
Well, it's not going to be so much a question. It's going to be, I believe in Zack Rayne, and my question is to you, Zack. I know in full-heartedly you came this close. You are with Team Bubba, so what can you do now in a second attempt if you get a match in Fight Underground?
Listen, so first, Coach, I just want to apologize. I came into this, I thought I had it scouted. Like I said earlier, when you have two guys that are clearly studs, I'm not taking anything away from Lawless. But I should have known that not everybody's going to come in here and try to carry a code of honor. It's a fight, and sometimes you get caught slipping. I stepped in to try to help the referee, and I paid for it. And I don't have an excuse for that.
Dash, do you have a question?
I'd like to know just what your strategy was going into this match, because very clearly David Lawless had a strategy, and he executed that flawlessly, in my opinion. So what was your plan to combat that?
I think I've made it clear over my career that I'm not a strategy guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the ring.
Clearly.
Thank you.
Whoa.
I came here because I was asked to. I wanted to support a guy that I grew up watching, that has been a mentor to me my entire career, my entire life. And when Bubba called me, I showed up. So I came in here with the same game plan that I always have. Strong style isn't about plans. It's not about reading. It's not about foreseeing the future. It's about getting hit and continuing to move forward. And if that's the way this match would have gone, if it wouldn't have been jumping one of your officials and sticking a thumb in my eye, I would have persevered. And I promise you that he would not have weathered that storm.
Stacy, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm going to do this in a way that Dash can't quickly. Where do you go from here?
Wherever you guys put me. I was happy for the opportunity. I'd love another one. I just want to fight. You know, you guys said it's fists up, throw down. And I said in my promo, whenever I sent it in for the first fight, shut up and fight me. Whatever you guys see fit, I just want to fight.
Zack, do you have any thoughts moving forward?
I'm just happy to be here. I think this is an excellent product. I think this is a great concept. I think the right guys are in the position. I would have liked to have been in the finals with them, but watching Beastman, watching our team captain, the Rev Ron Hunt, I'll play my role. I'm here to support the team.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.